Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Disciplined Habits Podcast. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Disciplined Habits Podcast. I'm Jess Gordon, your host, and I've got one of my friends from Penn State University on the podcast today. Welcome to Disciplined Habits.
I'm so excited to be here. I'm Anjali Khatwani. I'm here to talk about my 75 hard experience. I'm really excited to be on this podcast. Yeah.
Yes, I'm so thrilled to have my girl on here, guys, because she and we went to Nashville together. We have
Yeah.
so many, we have so many sweet memories together, like over the course of our time at Penn State. So I'm just so excited for you guys to hear about her experience talking about the 75 hard. When I saw that you had done the 75 hard on your social media, I was like, that is impressive. That takes some serious discipline, and I was so impressed and so proud of you too. That is such an amazing accomplishment. So do you want to tell them a little bit about maybe just kind of your life season that you're in right now?
Yeah, so I mean, new year, kind of new me, just because I did do
Yeah.
the challenge and it kind of changed my ways a little bit. I'm currently working for Fidelity Investments. It's a very
Yes.
beginner job, but right now I'm in the middle of like acquiring all my licenses so I can fully, pursue the position and the job and, go from there on. But
Yes.
yeah, a lot of my life is right now is like studying, but yeah, that's a little bit about it and incorporating some of the habits that I learned from 75 Hard into
Yeah.
my life now. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. So she's a working woman and she still did this, guys. So do you want to just tell them like what about the 75 hard did you do? Like, tell us. I know some people kind of make it like a variety of things. It can kind of be your own thing. So
Yeah.
go into detail about what you did specifically that was the 75 hard.
Okay, yeah. So the basic guidelines for 75 Hard is it's a very strict diet and exercise challenge that basically you do for 75 days, where it consists of two 45-minute workouts where one has to be inside or outside, a gallon of water every day, 10 pages of a nonfiction book that you read every night, and then you're supposed to take like a progress photo every day. But for me, I more took one like every 2 to 3 days just because
Hmm.
I find it a little bit hard sometimes, like looking at myself in the mirror or like looking at myself in pictures every day.
Yeah.
But yeah, also following a strict diet, which I did, and this is something that really people can change and like acquiring or tailored to their specific goals that they have.
Yeah.
But I basically really just wanted to be strict, so I did no carbs, no cheat meals for the 75 days, and you're not allowed to have any alcohol as well. So that's like something that was a really big change for me just because coming straight out of college and then having the whole summer where obviously I didn't start my job yet or have a job yet. So I was basically going on free will, having fun while I still can and still living like a college student as much as I could. Just before I start really getting into that adult life. But I knew as soon as I started my job, I really wanted to get into this healthy lifestyle and healthy habits and gain more healthy habits just because I was still stuck in that, mental block and that lifestyle where I wasn't really motivated and I didn't really have all my things together. I wasn't organized, stuff like that. So I really wanted to make a shift where I can incorporate new habits into my lifestyle going into this new chapter of my life where I just graduated college and I'm doing this stuff where I can't make excuses that I'm like a kid anymore and stuff like that. So that
Oh
was
my
kind of,
goodness.
yeah. So
I love that.
yeah, it was a little hard. I basically what my goal was is try to eat as much protein as I could every day.
Hmm.
Um, I'm my goal, like based on my body percentage, fat, and everything. When I calculated it, I originally was calculating that I needed to eat about, I want to say 120 to 130 grams of protein a day,
Hmm.
which I knew was going to be really hard for me to do just because I would eat
Yeah.
protein, but nowhere near that amount. So that and also having a gallon of water a day was a little bit hard for me, just because I wasn't used to it. So in my mental, like in my goals for the challenge, what I decided to do was I was telling myself at least eat twice or three times the amount of protein that you eat a day, just to at least get somewhere close to that goal. Or for
Mm-hmm.
example, like when I drink water, like usually I drink like two of these a day. So I was like,
Uh-huh.
okay, let me add one more, one and a half more, just so I can at least get closer and closer, and it'll be easier to drink that, drink and eat that much protein and drink enough that
Yeah.
much water. But yeah, that's a
No,
little
that's so good.
bit.
Yeah, that sounds so good. Like you kind of adjusted some things to fit towards you, but it
Yeah.
was still like a really challenging 75 days, I'm sure. So that is really good. And I feel like that's kind of what I've generally seen on social media. When people do
Right.
the 75 hard, there might be some things that they kind of change a little bit, and it's still a huge accomplishment to do something this in
Right.
75 days. So either way, like you killed it, girl. So proud of you.
Thank
But
you.
so I want to know, like, what inspired you to do this challenge? You kind of said, oh, you just were like being a college student and kind of ready to be more into like adult mindset, whatever. Like, was there something besides that that kind of helps you get inspired to do this?
Yeah, there's a couple things. So first of all, my brother actually did it a couple years back, and I saw how well
Awesome.
it worked for him. So it kind of inspired me, but I knew it would be a little bit hard to do that in college just because with classes and like obviously college lifestyle is a little bit different than,
Yeah.
being outside of college and you're always around your
Yeah.
friends. So like you're going to be eating junk food, you're
Yeah.
consuming the wrong things and stuff like that. So, I really wanted to just like my brother really inspired me just because I saw how much it made his life better and he gained so many healthy habits from it, which I really wanted to do. So that's kind of what inspired me. Another thing was also I knew that going into this adult lifestyle, or once I started my job, I knew that I couldn't be in that same like everyday routine. Like I knew I needed a routine every day,
Hmm.
just to get back into that, routine and lifestyle. I keep saying that word, but um,
No, it's key,
just
you
to
know?
start getting into healthier habits and having a better, you know, everyday life, basically, just because I didn't know exactly how I wanted to organize my day or my months or just how my life is on a daily basis. So I figured why not jump to 100 and then start, and then that way I lay back a little bit after the challenge was done and try to incorporate
Uh,
those things. So it's kind of like
yes.
me trying to find a balance just because if I was on a scale before the 75 hard, I was definitely on the opposite end and I really wanted to be in the middle. So I figured I was like, let me jump on the opposite end for a second, and then that way, after I'm done, I can still keep some of the things that I did for the 75 hard, just to keep maintaining like better life, happier life, just
Yeah.
feeling better really about myself. That was a big thing for me too. It was more of a mental thing for me. Like I really didn't like myself before 75 hard. It was something that I wanted to make a change for myself just because it wasn't me like proving to anybody else that like I can do it. It was like, no,
Ah,
I need to prove to myself that I can do it. I've kind of always been a challenge girl my life, but like I've
yes.
always been like, very hesitant and resistant. But once I start, there's no stopping me.
Yeah, no, that's so good. Oh
Yeah,
my
so that's
gosh.
kind of
Yeah.
what like basically motivated me to do this challenge. And once I started, it was definitely tough, but once I
Hmm.
started, I was like, you started now, like there, might as well finish it while you're still doing
Yeah,
it.
that is some crazy perseverance right there. And thank you for being so vulnerable too, kind of sharing a little bit of the behind the scenes of what motivated you to do this with like being proud of yourself. I mean, gaining more confidence and all the things. But so you talked about like some habits that you're still doing today, even after finishing the challenge. What are some of those habits that you're still maintaining in
Yes.
order to live
Yeah,
healthy, I
so
guess?
I'm trying to at least, so during the challenge, I had to work out twice a day. I try to at least work out 5 to 6 times a week now, just
Hmm.
because before I think I would work out maybe once a week, to be honest, just because this summer I got super lazy. My schedule was really bad. I would never
It's
keep up.
okay.
It was really hard. So I try to at least try to stay active throughout the week, just as much as possible. Also drinking a lot of water because I wasn't good with that before, so I really wanted to keep that up. And to be honest, I've seen benefits of drinking water like firsthand just from taking a big difference from drinking barely any water, and then drinking a crazy amount of water just because of this challenge. Like my skin was clearer, like everything was better, I slept better,
Yeah.
everything like that just made so much of a difference. So yeah, that's kind of like what where I was going, but yeah, so I still drink a lot more water and protein. Protein's a big one too. I try to eat as much protein as I can, whether it's still like a protein shake at least once a day, and then obviously
Mm-hmm.
trying to eat like chicken and keeping healthy diets as well. That's another thing that I've been trying to maintain.
Uh-huh.
Just because I've been restricting myself and I didn't really want to. My biggest fear during the challenge was that right after it was over, I'd just fall back on the wagon like completely.
Yeah.
So that was
I could
something that I was hugely afraid of. So at first, when I got off, I was super skeptical. I
hmm
made sure, like, even if I did have like something that wasn't exactly healthy, that like that was the only thing that I had for the day that was like completely not, or like
Uh-huh.
my diet before. So yeah, I try to restrict myself now, so keep healthy meals during the week, and then on the
hmm
weekends go a little bit more freely, but also just
Yeah.
maintain balance, really.
I think that's good because like we're not always going to be super healthy 100% of the
Right,
time. I always
right,
talk about living in the 80-20 rule. Like 80% of the time
right,
I'm eating well, 20% of the time I'm not. Or like there's the cheat days where, oh, my friends
right.
are like, oh, you want to get ice cream? I'm like, yeah, I want to do that.
hmm
What I was kind of interested in is like a lot of people who do this challenge, like do they fall back to their old habits? You said that that was like your biggest fear. So I was kind of curious about that. I was like, I wonder if other people they do the challenge and then they just fall back, or if they're kind of like you, they maintain some healthy habits still. So that was just something that kind of came to my head when I was thinking about you talking about how that was a fear of yours. But for anybody that's wanting to do the 75 hard challenge, what's your best piece of advice? Give them the whole like rundown of advice.
It's really hard, especially depending on the type of person that you are. If you're a person that loves, hanging out with your friends every weekend, going out, blah, 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 it's definitely going to be hard just because for me, oh, one, I never went out just because I know my friends either wanted to go out to a restaurant and most majority of the time if I went to a restaurant all I would eat is salad, but at home I can make so many other meals that isn't just a
Yeah.
salad that fit according to my diet guidelines. Another thing is once you're on the challenge, your friends will start to understand that like it's going to be a little bit harder to, hang out with you, or your family will understand that too, just because of they know they have to respect your guidelines, especially when you're doing that diet. So a lot of my friends would actually like reach out to me less, which kind of helped. It was also like a challenge
hmm
where I thought like, oh, maybe they don't want to hang out with me, but
Yeah.
um, no, they definitely, it was just something that really actually helped me out. So you do actually have to learn a lot of self-love too, which was
You were
really a
locked
big thing.
in.
Yeah, I was locked in. So you have to be locked in. Yeah, like I said, it was tough, but just give it your all. Just because you have
hmm
to know that this is temporary. You aren't going to do this forever. And I promise it'll be worth it in the end. Like I remember starting the challenge and I think I was like maybe 2 weeks in and I'm like, I have 2 weeks. Like I've only been doing this for 2 weeks and I still have 8 more weeks of this left to go. So I
Yeah.
mean, trust me, you're not alone in this. And usually 75 hard is actually meant to do with like you're meant to do it with somebody, but I didn't have someone to do it with me.
hmm
Um, so I had to figure it kind of out. It was kind of like walking on my own and, figuring out my own way through this challenge. But it was really nice because my friends and family still completely supported me, especially my parents and my brother. It was super helpful. They kind of
Yeah.
like walked me through it and they were probably my number one cheerleaders. So have a good
Aw.
support system. I think that's a really big thing. Just because when they kind of like, reward you, not reward you, but like, like notice how far you've come and notice your hard work and your effort, it really shows you that like, okay, I can do this. Like, okay, like if
Yeah.
you're noticing it, just because during the challenge you're facing these mental difficulties where you don't know if it's actually making a difference in your life. For me, one of the big things is like I feel like I have my stuff together, but I feel like I don't because I still don't know how I'm doing this and like I feel like it's a tough challenge that I still have so much more left to go through this, but also like I don't know if my body's changing, I can't tell,
hmm
but then obviously these things don't happen overnight. That's why it's called the
Yeah.
75 hard days, 75 hard because it's over a 75-day period. So if you really like the pictures did really make a difference for me looking back on day 1 all the way to 75. I'm like, okay, yeah, it did work, but in
Yeah.
these days when you check day to day, you're not going to notice much differences. So it's going to be a little bit harder just because during the challenge you're supposed to look at yourself every day and like analyze yourself every day, which was really hard for me, especially because some people aren't exactly like we all have insecurities, so it gets a little bit
Hmm.
hard, but it definitely made me prouder of who I am today. But yeah, I'd say have a support system. You do have to be strong, and it's okay to be, felt a little knocked down, but just keep going. That's all you got to do. All you got to know is that this
Yeah.
is temporary. You only have to hold it in for a little bit. It's If you think about it, it's really 2 months of the year. That's it. And
True.
what's the date?
Oh, the
We're
12th or
already
11th
11
or
days into the
something.
year. So it's even
Yeah.
crazy. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'd say stick through it and have a good support system. If your friends support you, it might be hard just because you might not feel that, there's going to be times where you might not feel like you can be there for friends when they need something just because you're doing this, but you have to know that your friends will support you if they know that you're doing it for yourself and they know that you're doing it for the right reasons, and this is something that they want to do and they want to help you achieve your goals at the same time. So also have a positive outlook. I think that's a big thing too.
Yeah. Oh
Really
my
connecting
goodness.
with yourself, especially if you're someone that really needs that time alone. Because I know sometimes I really need time alone to
Mhm.
myself, and I like pride myself in my time alone. So for me, it was kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time, but more of a
Yeah.
blessing now that I look back at it.
Yeah, no, that is so awesome. I love how you t kind of touched on like it's patient endurance. Like you're not seeing results every single day, but
Right.
at the end of it, you look back and you're like,
Yeah.
wow, that was really a changing process. Although the process was slow over the days, but
Hmm.
as time went on, like at the end of it, from start to beginning, there was a difference, and
Yeah.
that's really cool. I can't even imagine what the feeling was at the end of it. What was the feeling at the end of it? Explain
I
that.
think so. It was so funny. It was the last day, was like a Friday, right? So I remember I worked out in the morning at the gym, and then I had to do my outside workout. And most of my outside workouts were walks. So I would walk around my neighborhood. And I remember walking around my neighborhood and I'm like trying to listen to music. And funny enough, my phone actually died first 10 minutes of my walk. I was like, I'm not walking back to get charge my phone or anything like that. I need to finish this because I had to like be somewhere that night or whatever. So I'm walking around doing my last 45 minutes of 75 hard. And that was kind of like the real end to my 75 hard because after that, like I had already hit like my reading and like my
Hmm.
exercise, my diet, and like my almost my water goal for that day.
Hmm.
So really what was left of this walk. So I came back and I think as soon as like the last 5 minutes of walking back to my house, like I was starting to like tear up because I was like, oh my God, like I can't
Oh,
believe I actually like made it. Like
that
just
is so
because like
sweet.
looking back, I remember thinking to myself, like, I genuinely do not know how I'm going to get through this. Like, it's only been halfway through. I can't believe I have this much left. But that was also part of like the milestones that I set for myself. Like, oh, I made it 2 weeks in. Oh, another week down. Because you set these little goals for yourself that help you achieve the bigger goal, which
Yeah.
really helped me to really look at the bigger picture and celebrate even the little accomplishments throughout the challenge, which really helped me persevere and really follow through as much as I could, just because I really wanted to give it my all, even when it comes to
Hmm.
like my laziest days that I had during the challenge when I had to work out. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's a 45-minute workout. I would always try to work out for an hour just because I was like, you're doing the challenge, you might as well do it. You're already here at the gym, you might as well do the extra 10 minutes if you can.
That's insane. Yeah. I love it though. Oh my goodness. That is like such a sweet thing that you're on the last 5 minutes of your walk and you're just like, I can't believe I completed this. You're tearing up. Like that is such a sweet
Yeah.
thing. I love that so, so much. Wow. That is so crazy. How did you even keep track of your days?
All I knew was that like I started on a Monday, and all I knew was like I started on a Monday, and I knew that I ended on a Friday, whatever the date was. But I was like, okay, every Sunday I'd be like, okay, 1 week done. That's like crazy because the weeks would go by fast sometimes, but the
Hmm.
time was also slow. It was a little bit like mind baffling, just like how time went, because some days would go super fast, and some days are like, wait, I still have a month left of this challenge.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. So I'd set these little goals like, okay, one more week done, and then reaching up to the halfway point. I'm like, okay, I have 5 weeks down, 5 more weeks to go. I was like, I can definitely do this. I made it to the halfway point, just hitting those little goals, and also like
Yeah.
I would more compare like my progress pictures from like 2 week spaces, or like for
Hmm.
example when it was half when I was halfway through the challenge, I went back to look at my day one and I was like, okay, I see the difference. Like, this is like something
Yeah.
that I needed. And like, even my habits on an everyday basis, like, I was waking up on time, I had better sleep, I was more organized through the day. Even throughout work, I had such a better, way of going through things. And I think that was really a huge benefit just because I don't think I've ever, even though the challenge was so mentally tough, I don't think I've ever felt more like confident in my everyday self and just
Hmm.
productive and working hard. I've never felt more proud of myself and felt like I was actually doing something every day. So,
Yeah, that
yeah,
is so
kind of.
incredible. I love hearing that. Oh my goodness. On the days that were hard, like what were you telling yourself? What was going through your head on the hard days?
Well, I first of all, I kind of grew up, with like everyone telling me that like crying's really never gonna get you anywhere, or whining about it is never gonna get you anywhere, or pouting
Yeah.
is really never gonna get you anywhere. So, I kind of just told myself that, and also I kind of reminded myself like how I felt before the challenge. I was like, okay, like you're not satisfied with the person that you are and the habits that you have and how you look. You got to make the difference. I was like, you're doing it. You might as well pull through. This, I mean, I told myself I was like, okay, this is hard, but you've been through worse. I was like, I could tell you you've been through worse. This isn't
Wow,
the,
yeah.
yeah, I was like, you got to remind yourself that there's more challenges out there in life that people are going through that are way tougher than the stuff that you're going through right now. This is something that was also really just to prove myself that I can really like like overcome other challenges or other obstacles that I might have in my future, or other challenges I might need to take on in my future, whether it comes to my career, or whether it comes to my health goals, whether it comes to my relationship, or love life, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just like a representation of really like basically life. And because when it comes to these challenges, you put these challenges in front of yourself, so it's your personal goal or action. It's your job basically to overcome these goals. And I really think that's what like life is meant for. And this is why people say like everything happens for a reason and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, kind of just reminding myself that, where you want to be, like my future goals, where you want to be isn't going to is going to happen if I don't do something about it. So
Uh-huh.
that was
Yeah.
kind of
You can't just sit around and wait for things to
yeah,
happen.
exactly.
I love hearing that. That is so, so great. And like I said, I was super proud of you. Whenever I saw you posting about it, I was like, yes, that's my girl. I can't believe this. This is awesome. I'm so proud of you. That is a huge accomplishment because I'm pretty sure there's a statistic out there that only a small percentage of people can even complete this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure only a small percentage of people actually go through and fall through with the whole challenge, right?
Yeah, I know people who have so people are like more likely to go through it the first time, but people do the challenge again, and I feel like the
Hmm.
second time they do it, they like don't do it as well, or they either fall off. So that's what I've
Hmm.
noticed. But I mean, I could definitely understand. There was many times where like I could give it up all now, but I was like, I can't. Like I was like, I made it
I
so
can't, that's
far.
not an option.
I can't quit now.
Yeah. No, that's so good. Anjali, I'm so thankful that you were able to come on the podcast. Thanks so much for sharing
Of
your insights
course.
on this. Thanks so much for telling us about the hard times, the good times during these 75 days that you did this challenge. I just can't thank you enough for being on today.
Of course. It was an honor to be here. I'm so happy
Yeah.
to have been here.
Yes. Yeah. All right, guys. So that's the end of the podcast episode. I hope you guys learned something from a serious, crazy woman who did an amazing thing in 75 days. I'm so impressed. I'm like, wow, maybe I should try it. It's so awesome. But thank you guys so much for watching this podcast episode. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.